This is Mike Corey from ESPN, and you're listening to the Sports Objective Podcast, the unofficial podcast of the Pirates.
My heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down of my soul, and I don't back down, not at all. Find out when the cannons explode. From the sidelines down to the post, put it down like not even close. All out to the last whistle blow. From the flag with the soul and crossbones. Everybody stand up, get your hands.
Welcome into the Sports Objective, and we are on the air. Happy New Year 2022, and we're finally back. I'd say we took a little bit of a hiatus. Matt Semenza had to travel the world in a handful of days, and so we're glad to have Matt back. Kyle Barber, what's up, dude?
What's going on, Dave, Bubba, Matt? We sit here in 2022, a brave new year, a brave new frontier. Will it be better than 21? Will it be better than 20? The last 2 years have sucked pond water, except for football this past season, much improved, but a terrible ending to the football season of 2021. 2022 is off to a start. Not much of a start, but at least it's a start. And we'll see how the year goes. And that was a bit of a ramble. Bubba, how you doing?
Doing great, guys. You really can't complain with 65, 70-degree temperatures. But other than that, it's been kind of a frustrating end of the year for the reasons you mentioned, with the bowl game against BC getting canceled. And now you have a pause for East Carolina basketball as well.
Bob, any snow out your way? I know up in the high country, Boone, all over to Asheville, they're expecting about, well, I don't around Boone, they're expecting 6 inches tonight. No jokes, guys, be mature. Are y'all expecting any snow up your way?
Well, I was looking at it. I think maybe it's tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, the lows are supposed to be down in the mid-20s. Tonight, it's only supposed to be about 39, but it had called for snow, but it's not going to get cold enough around here tonight.
Matt, how about you? Have you seen any snow, Matt?
We saw a little bit, but you guys mentioned 65, 70. I don't even know what that feels like anymore. We're deep into winter here. I know New Jersey is going to get about 7 inches of snow tomorrow, but it's not going to make its way up to New England, which is kind of a nice thing. So, it's I'm sure it's going to hit very soon, though.
It's crazy to me to know, that Boone, and I understand altitude and elevation, but it's crazy to me. And I don't think most people, if you didn't live in North Carolina, you would know that there's a part of North Carolina that's that damn cold and gets that much snow. This is going to be Boone in that area's first significant snow this year of 6 inches. They already had 3 accumulating snowfalls by this time last year. This is highly unusual for this to be the first snowfall in Boone this late in the year. So I just find that interesting that I wonder how many people would guess that if you took like a survey of people and asked, is there a part of North Carolina that has temperatures like average year high temperatures that's like the same as Buffalo, New York, and similar snowfall amounts? I guarantee you everybody would say no.
I'll tell you one thing, guys. Matt, I feel for you because the coldest I've ever been in my life. Everybody knows I transferred my sophomore year to East Carolina. My freshman year, I was at Lees McRae College near Appalachian State in Banner Elk. And I remember one January that we got this brilliant idea to go get 3 hot dogs for $1 in the Avery dorm there. And we put 4 layers on. And that night, gentlemen, it was 4 degrees outside, wind chill of a negative 40. We go over to the pantry, get 3 hot dogs for $1. I think it took like 40 or 45 minutes to thaw.
How much snow was on the ground?
It was not. It was just that blankety blank cold. I mean, it was ridiculous. And that's the most cold I've ever been in my life. Like when I moved back to East, to Greenville, and it's like 30 degrees outside, and people were complaining. I was like, you need to go to the mountains, go to Boone and Banner Elk, go to that elevation.
Do you know the record low for Greenville, North Carolina? This is going to surprise you if you don't know.
I don't.
It occurred in the 80s. I want to say in 1985, but I may be wrong on the year. I asked Marvin Doherty this one time. I may have the email still from several years. I believe it was I think it was 85, 86, 87, something like that. The record low reported at Pitt Greenville Airport was -2 degrees. It has been -2 degrees in Greendale, North Carolina. Yep.
Yeah.
Very surprising. Very surprising.
Coldest I ever remember it being is 4 degrees.
Yeah. 1983 guys in Durham. The Christmas of 1983 was the coldest in my life. That's why I love the song from Bing Crosby, love White Christmas, but I'm not dreaming of a White Christmas. I would rather have Maka, whatever this song is from Bing Crosby, more than White Christmas. I'd rather open up presents around the pool.
Not me. Do you remember the White Christmas in down east in '89?
Oh, absolutely. 16 inches, wasn't it? It was over a foot.
Wow. Not '89. Not in Washington, no.
Yeah, it was anytime we get yeah, it was a bunch of
not 16 inches. It was not Williamson, not 89. I think you're thinking of blizzard of 80. But 89 we got around, it was about 6 inches.
No,
sometimes you have 6 inches and you claim it's 16 inches high, you know.
I'm a dude. What can you expect? No, 1980 it was so bad. I was a kid in like first grade, second grade, and it literally I missed
the blizzard of March of 80, yeah.
I missed 2 weeks of school. That's how bad.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I wasn't born yet, but I've seen pictures and heard stories. But 89 was the only White Christmas in my memory. And unfortunately, I hope we get to experience another one at some point. But no, last year, I don't know. We'll get the hell off this topic. Yeah. But last year we went up to Boone 2 days after Christmas, and there was snow all over the ground. We rode up to Grandfather Mountain in the snow, and it's beautiful to me. But I'm sure, Matt, you see snow all the time. You could give a shit less. You're like, snow, who cares?
Well, we did have a White Christmas.
Sorry about that. Alan Vick chimed in. He said January of '85 was when the record low occurred. It was Super Bowl Sunday into Monday. 49ers beat the Dolphins. We actually had a little bit of snow on that Sunday, and it was that night that he got down below zero. Also got to zero on the Christmas of '89 when we got the snow on December 23rd and the 24th.
Yeah, I remember that Christmas snow of '89 vividly. I remember being at my grandparents' house that lived up in Murfreesboro, and that snow started at the beach and then went north, if I remember right. It was like backwards from how it normally was. I remember from being a kid. And I remember it's on the 23rd. We started home. The time we got to the food line that hadn't been open long in Williamston, Dave, you know where that is.
Oh, yeah.
And we got to that food line, and it was already starting to cover the ground. And, of course, growing up in Eastern North Carolina, when that snow starts covering the ground, particularly in those days, it's time to get to the house. You better get your bread and milk. So we stopped at Food Line and stocked up on the supplies to go get to the house to make sure we could be safe from the evil snow. And I don't think we left the house again until Christmas Day. No, we did. We went to my granddad's house, but at the time he lived like my other granddad. At the time he lived right across the field from my dad. But yeah, I remember that vividly.
Hey, before we move on and talk some East Carolina football topics. B. Page chimed in. He said he thinks that his high school basketball coach at, I believe, B. Page, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you're a Westro Falcon, but he believes that Coach Jack Litton, I guess is how his name's pronounced, was the head basketball coach at Leeds McRae in 1992. Do you remember him, Dave?
That name sounds very familiar. I remember going to the games there, and we still, at that time, Leeds McRae still had a football team, so not a very good football team, but it still had a football team. So back in that was NAIA days back. That's how old I am.
They're D2 now.
Yeah, but definitely a great experience. Love it. Oh, there you go, West Rowan Falcon. I didn't know. I learned something tonight. Go Pete Bates.
Do you guys remember when we played Leeds McRae in basketball a few seasons back?
Yeah, I know we played them in the Herian era. I think it was.
Yeah,
well, I'll say a few seasons back, Bob. It all blends together sometimes.
Doesn't seem like it's been that long, but it has.
Yeah.
But transitioning to some Pirate football topics, very sad news coming out within the last 5 to 6 days. Mike Sacra, who's the father of Jacob Sacra, East Carolina signee, offensive lineman from the state of Virginia, very highly regarded. Unfortunately, Mike passed away between Christmas and New Year's, I believe it was, according to the timeline that Coach Houston put that out on social media. So thoughts and prayers to Jacob Sacra and his family. It's obviously that's tough anytime, but especially over the holidays, can only imagine what he and his family are going through. But some other Pirate football topics. Kudos to Bill Clark Holmes. That family has done so much. Obviously, Clark LeClaire Stadium. And then back in September, the South Carolina game, they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, somewhere in that ballpark, buying 6,000 tickets for first responders dealing with COVID. Now they step up with a $200,000 lead gift for championship rings bowl rings, I should say, for the football program. And then you have also whatever's remaining going toward bowl relief since the game was not able to be played.
Nice. I did not know about the ring part. That's very cool. I would like for our university, our athletic director to appeal to the military bowl about presenting the team with that trophy. I think it would be really cool. The Pirate fans didn't get to experience. I think it would be really cool to have a bowl party and be presented with that trophy that the fans would be invited to, Pirate Club members, where we can celebrate with the team the 2021 season, and them guys get presented with that military bowl trophy. I think they deserve it, and I think the fans deserve it.
Yeah, that's a topic. Yeah, we had, in fact, Bubba, we had a.
Well, thank you to Bill Clark.
Thank you, Bill Clark. Bill Clark.
Absolutely. That's a very, very generous gift again.
Well, going back to that topic, by the way, guys, and not taking away from Bill Clark, because we appreciate that gift. But when people were talking about financially, when you heard the financial terms and the logistics of going to another bowl, perfect example right there of a great Pirate, Bill Clark Holmes, how there's enough Pirates out there, including us on this show, that we would have donated money, even if it was a few $100, a couple $100, $100, like I could give in that range. We would have all given money towards that team being able to go to whatever bowl. And I'm just
I would have liked to seen it explored. Maybe the logistics were impossible to get to the Sun Bowl, but I'd like to explore it. To me, you have a conversation. If you got the Washington State AD on the phone, and maybe John Clark, maybe John Gilbert did say this. I don't know. I went on the phone, but I believe I'd have told the Washington State AD, hey guys, this is pretty impossible for us short notice, but can you make it happen? Can you arrange flights for us? Your team's already there. Can you handle it on your end? Financially, look, we're struggling. We just lost $400,000 on this ball game, whatever it was. Look, to buy a home game with us, you would pay about $1 million if it was a buy game. Are you financially able to give us our bowl loss? Could you pay us $500,000 to come play you in the Sun Bowl in addition to us getting our bowl payout? I would have had those conversations with the Washington State AD, and the Washington State AD might have said, you know what, never mind, we'll find somebody else. But I would have had the conversation and see what we could have worked out. What I wouldn't have done is just say we're going to shut it down. And, it is what it is, and maybe the Sun Bowl wouldn't have worked out. I'd have kept it going. Who knows? If we'd have kept things going, maybe the Holiday Bowl would have arranged to have the Holiday Bowl in Raleigh, and we could have played NC State. Who knows? God knows Dave Doran wanted to play football. I wonder how mouthy and how ready he would have been if it was the Pirates he was going to play, though. But we beat this topic into the ground. We raised enough hell on the 26th about this, but I'd have liked to have seen it at least explored. I know, Bubba, you kind of have feel a little differently about it at this point than you did initially. I don't know if you want to comment on that. I know Matt and Dave, you kind of still feel like I do.
Yeah, well, Elliot Jameson, and he said, why didn't we try and get in a bowl? And you were kind of just talking about that a little bit. But, I was a little more reserved, and the reason being is because we didn't know exactly, and Coach Houston didn't come out and voice his opinions publicly on that the way Dave Doran did. But I had from pretty good sources that Coach Houston didn't really feel that it was practical or possible to pursue that opportunity. I'm sure he would have liked to, but from everything I gathered, he didn't feel like it was the thing to do. Well, so that's really. I don't think you'd have to. Otherwise, we pretty much beat it into the ground.
Well,
guys, cannot shed any new light there. Go ahead, Dave.
I do have a bigger picture, though, guys, that I've already talked to you guys about, but I want to share with our audience. I really believe that because that decision was made and other bowls that were made, just notice that we are trying to do everything that we can to make our program relevant, right? Now, when you cancel a bowl game like they did, eventually what's going to happen, and
Boston, to be clear, when we say they, Boston College, East Carolina didn't have anything to do with this bowl game not being played.
Right, Boston College. The bottom line is we're making ourselves irrelevant. We're giving the people that are Power 5, Group of 5, like that we're saying it's irrelevant. And the point is that eventually we're going to get to the point where we're playing the regular season and we have no postseason to go to whatsoever.
I don't think that'll be the case. What I think we're going to be headed for, I do think bowl games, by and large, are going to go by the wayside. I think what you're going to be given is an opportunity. This is just me speculating. I really believe what you're going to end up seeing is you finish the season with 6-6 or better. You're going to have an opportunity to play another home game or play on the road at somebody else's home game. I think you're going to see conferences. This is again speculation. I think you're going to see conferences sign contracts with each other, like maybe the American and the Sun Belt, and whatever team has the better record gets to host that extra home game, kind of deal. Is where I think we're headed.
I'll tell you guys, yesterday was very interesting when you're talking about the postseason. Kirk Herbstreit, I don't know if you guys saw, made some interesting comments, on his show talking about opt-outs, right? And
I'm sure he's okay with it.
What's that, Kyle?
I'm sure he's okay with it.
So
actually, he wasn't.
That's shocking, but only if you're at a Power 5 school. If you're at a Group of 5 school, he understands.
So, and this is obviously a touchy subject, but of all nights when I'm watching that Ole Miss game last night, and right away the quarterback goes down, right? Matt Corral, the kid had a great season. He's definite first round pick in the upcoming draft, and I'm just I'm sort of an old fashioned guy. I hate the opt outs. Obviously, I understand it's necessary, but when I saw him go down last night, I was just shaking my head. I'm saying, oh no. This is the worst thing for bowl season, because it just proves that point that sometimes in some cases, there are those cases where you're better off opting out. And I do get it. But, I was really shaking my head at that. But it's going to be really interesting to see what happens moving forward. We're definitely going to need another system here, because I see this problem. It's just going to get worse and worse every year now. And once this train has started, it's going to be hard to stop it.
Do you think moving bowl games up a little bit, and I don't know how practical this is, but do you think if all bowl games were played except for the championship games and your bigger bowls, do you think if all the bowl games were played prior to Christmas, that would help with opt-outs? I think it might. I think one thing besides kids get ready for the league, I think some of them, they have the time to think about it. They're ready for it to be over. Whereas when you go from, if your season ends Thanksgiving weekend and then your bowl game is the weekend after championship game, I think more kids would play and not opt out. I think that may be one thing that could be done that could be easy is, besides your premium bowl games, your New Year's Day bowls, why don't we move them all to prior to Christmas? That way kids can go home, spend the holidays with their family, et cetera, et cetera. I know it may make it a little harder for fans to travel, but I think you get more kids to participate. Is that not it? What do y'all think about that? Am I thinking about that wrong? Do you think
why it's not going to happen? Is because they're made for TV events, so they're spread out the way they are.
Right.
So what you're saying,
in
a lot of ways makes sense, but at the same time, I don't think that's ever going to happen as long as this number of bowl games is being played, because they're made for TV events and they like spreading them out over the course of 2 to 2.5 weeks or whatever, like it is.
Yeah, I understand that. But if you keep having, it's going to be interesting. COVID's going to be over here hopefully pretty soon. I think maybe this last bit is the peak. And maybe next year, we hope COVID will be a thing of the past and we're not on COVID variant, Ocho Cinco, Omicron, superstar Billy Graham. But let's hope this is it. Do you see guys next year canceling, or teams next year canceling bowls up? We just had too many opt-outs plus injuries. We don't feel we'll be competitive. We're opting out of the bowl.
Well, I'll say this. I think
meaning the team, not the players opting out, meaning the teams pull out of the bowl.
I think you're already kind of we haven't been, unless you go back and really track it, that in conjunction with injuries and the COVID.
Yeah, but I think they use COVID as the excuse for it to be acceptable, Bubba. I
Right.
wonder
Exactly.
how
Yeah,
acceptable it'll be. Yeah.
It's a convenient way of opting out now, whether it's
Yep.
it's Y, UCLA, or whoever.
Yeah.
Boston
Sure
College.
thing. And
Boston College.
Yeah, Boston.
I think this is the biggest case for expansion yet. I really do. I mean, this makes a great case for expansion because here's what's going to happen, right? As soon as you don't have an opportunity at the playoff, if you're a potential first rounder, you're just going to opt out. It's going to get worse and worse.
Yes.
So this is the case for expansion, right? You give more teams an opportunity to compete for a national championship. That keeps a lot of these players involved. Like take Ohio State, for example, right? Played in the Rose
You still got to do something about bowls.
They had a ton of people opt out. Yesterday. But let's just say if the playoff had been expanded to 12, Ohio State would have been in that mix. They would have been ranked, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, somewhere in that range. They would have had an opportunity. Those kids would have opted in to play. So I think it makes a great case for expansion.
I agree, but that only fixes it for a handful of teams. It still doesn't help the problem, with East Carolina Boston College game. I think expanding the playoffs, unless you're going to expand it to at least 32, you still have these problems. Expanding the playoffs, going to 12 is something we should do anyway, and they're not going to go beyond 12. You still got to figure out, the only other thing I can think of besides moving the bowl games up is paying the players. You give each one of the players a couple grand, $1,500, whatever. If you participate in the bowl game, I think some kids are going to laugh at that and go, my NFL contract's going to be worth a lot more than that. But you got some kids that are going to go, I haven't been injured all year. I'll make an extra $2,000 by playing in this bowl game. Let me go ahead and play.
I think the most logical one is to expand, and why not to expand to 32? I mean,
they're not going to, Dave. I mean, it's logical to expand to 64, but they're not going to.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Go ahead, Dave.
No, but the thing is what I always love about, they always talk about money, right? And they always talk about money. It's not about money. We're about money. ESPN can give them how much more money when it comes to the bowls and having the bowl tie-in and having the playoffs last a lot longer. And so it's stupid for them to say it hurts the regular season. Are you kidding me? Can you think about East Carolina? If we knew that we had an automatic bid, and think about all the games we have at Dowdy-Ficklin right now. There's some games, let's be honest, Pirate fans don't care about our conference games. They care more about ACC schools than conference games, some of them. Think about this. If you knew that we had a really good team and you knew that every week we had a shot at going to the playoff, all we have to do is win the American. That would help our attendance as well. Oh, yeah. Well, not even just win the American, but just realistically, because what you're talking about is great, but it's not going to happen. So if you expand to 12, which may happen, and you know that you're going to have one representative from the so-called group of 5, then East Carolina's going to have a good shot if we win the American. So, yeah, people will definitely be more locked into conference games. Another idea, this is just things I'm spitballing that could be done to help bowl games. They have the Bowl Challenge Cup. What if there's a financial compensation for all play? Like let's say the American wins the Bowl Challenge Cup, then the American Conference gets, whoever would sponsor it at this point, $1 million check, $2 million check, whatever, and that money gets split amongst the players that played in the bowl games. I mean, I don't know. There's got to be a way to make it appealing for all these players to participate in bowl games. And maybe you go the other way. Maybe you go the other way and you do this. You tell a bowl team, once COVID's over, if you opt out of this bowl, forget the players opting out, the team. You tell a team, if you opt out of this bowl, you're going to pay a $500,000 penalty. Yeah. You accepted this bowl invitation now, COVID's over. If you don't play in this bowl game, you owe us $5. You're going to pay that other team's expenses, and you're going to pay them their bowl payout. And lose. And also, you're costing these bowl games to lose money. So there should be finance after COVID's over. If teams still pull this bull crap, there needs to be a financial penalty that the universities have to. That's probably the easiest solution right there. If you accept a bowl bid and you pull out after COVID's over, you got to pay a significant financial penalty as a university, be it $500,000, $1 million, whatever. I think that's probably your easiest fix right there.
Yeah. How about the payout? You have to pay that out, or you don't get the payout.
Yeah, so you get something. You get something. You got to pay something if you pull out of that bowl, because I think this BS could keep happening. I think COVID makes it acceptable now, but I don't know what you can do. I'm trying to come up with ideas about the players, but I know what you can do to keep the university from pulling out of the bowl. Boston College could have played, even if they had 41 players out, they still could have played that game. It's a 120-man roster. And I don't believe they had 41 players out any more than I believe I have a purple ass. So, it's.
We don't want to see, please, we don't want to see your purple.
I don't have one.
We'll take your word for it.
Hey, Kyle, I bet you did that day we lost to A&T.
Boy, I tell you what, I had a case of the red ass. That day, by the way, if you want to go back in our archives, go audio only. Go look on whatever your favorite podcast app is, and go find that North Carolina A&T episode. That is classic. Bubba, you need to put that up on YouTube.
Yeah, the A&T fan base, they loved it so much. Our reactions, they put the link on their website.
Bubba, will you get that up on YouTube sometime this week? Will you have time? I know you got to go back to work.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Yep.
All right, we'll try to get that up on YouTube for everybody to enjoy our me and Bubba and Dave acting like complete lunatics after that A&T loss.
That's exactly what people want to do. Listen to us talk about A&T.
I am glad I wasn't with you guys at that point, because I probably would have been like throwing my computer across the room. I can only imagine the post-game rant after A&T. That was brutal, absolutely brutal.
I love AV. Alan Baker's the best.
Purple ass.
Hey guys, let me say this about the Boston College thing, though. So, like, the thing that really bothered me more than anything was the lack of transparency. I totally agree with you. There's no way they had that many players with COVID. And look at this, Bubba. Go ahead. I'll let you.
No. I just thought it was the perfect time to put it up since you were
all right.
talking
I
about.
was thinking about it. Oh my God, that's great.
I'll gladly continue with this. First of all, look at this absolute disgrace. So apparently, this is what Boston College fans were, putting out there, this T-shirt with the eagle and the 2021 bowl champions. What a joke that is! But but the lack of transparency is what really bothered me. There's no way they had that many players with COVID, and they should have to explain that. They should be held accountable for that, because opt-outs are their problem. Injuries are their problem. That's not our problem. Right. All we need to know is how many had COVID, and I think it was less than 10.
I heard it was 6 guys.
Yeah, and they should not have been allowed to do that. What they should have done is taken their ass whipping, went back to Boston. You had some beans and whatever the hell else you have in Beantown. Whatever. They should have just went back to Boston. Take your beating, boys. Take your beating. And it ain't the first time an ACT team got their ass kicked by East Carolina. Just wear it as a badge of honor. And they should have took their beating, went home, and called it a day. Look, I will say this. Bubba, what team was it that had a ton of people out? And then it was Purdue. Purdue had a buttload of people out, including their 2 best players, and managed, with the help of the officials, to beat Tennessee in the Music City Bowl. So hats off to Purdue for playing that game instead of backing out, and they pulled off a huge victory against Tennessee.
Not only that, guys, but the very fact that Boston College, like I said, I would go a step further than the penalty, like you were talking about, the fine, Kyle. I think you should have to give up like 5 scholarships, a whole bunch of, put some teeth in there. No,
I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna do that. I think you could put a penalty in place. So if you back out of the bowl game, once you've accepted the invitation, you have to pay a financial penalty. Because what Boston College did, not only what they cost East Carolina financially, they might put the Motor City Bowl, they might put the Military Bowl out of business. I mean, this is 2 years in a row the Military Bowl hasn't been played. I read a bit of an article that said it was like a funeral in the Military Bowl offices last Sunday. This really could put that bowl. That bowl is not owned by ESPN. If it survives, it may have to be from now on. They might have to sell it to ESPN. It's one of the few bowls anymore outside of the premier bowls that wasn't owned by ESPN, that was still independently operated. And I bet you ESPN may own it this time next year.
think about this, guys, too. Steve Beck, the head of the bowl. Just think about all the people. That's a great point, Kyle. Think about all the people that bowl just doesn't happen. They just don't roll out the balls and play the game. They work on that bowl year round. Yep. And you think about that, and you think about all the businesses in Annapolis.
Lost money, big time.
Lost money. Hey, how about think about Pirate fans? That's one of the things for the athletic director. I like him personally. So everybody, we don't have an axe to grind with the athletic director. What we're saying is simply
not personally, no.
No, what we're saying is the amount of money Pirate fans lost, and I expressed that to the Pirate Club this week. I didn't lose any money, but there are a lot of people that did, and I was speaking up for my fellow Pirates in Pirate Nation. The very fact there's a lot of Pirates that lost.
Not all hotels gave refunds. Matt made a great point. If you book through a third party website, you're SOL. A hotels.com, for example. If your hotel, I've heard some people that only got part of their stay back. I haven't checked my credit card, but the girl on the phone told me I was going to get a full refund. That the manager made that call when they found out that the Military Bowl was canceled at the Holiday Inn up there. So I got, I'm assuming I got my refund from my bowl tickets. Again, I hadn't checked my credit card, but I was supposed to. So yeah, but there are a lot of people that lost money. I guess technically I lost a little bit of money. We were on 95 around Rocky Mount, so I lost a little bit of gas money. But it's a lot of heartbreak from this. I've never been to a bowl game in person. This is going to be my first time going to a bowl game in person.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, never been to one. So it really sucked.
I love it. Peace. Be peace. You're the man.
That's for the hotel. That's actually. Did you do that on accident? That's interesting. If your card expiration does not happen prior to your check-in date, if your card, that's an interesting thing, Pace, because if your card's still good when you reserve the room, it'll probably let you reserve it, but it could expire before you actually check in, and then they can't charge you for a damn thing. That's actually interesting logic right there. I might have to do that. You really couldn't plan for that, but think about it. If your card is if your room is for December, but your card expires in November and you reserve it in October, for example, it'll let you reserve it. But you see what I'm saying? That's good strategy, Pace. I don't know if you thought it out or it just happened.
No, he keeps one just in case.
That's impressive. That is impressive.
So it'll take it already expired. It'll. I'm surprised the hotel will accept it, or do you just put in a BS date?
No.
That's what I'm wondering. Now, do you just put a BS?
You can't ask the man to reveal his secrets.
Yeah. I can, because this is interesting.
Well,
I do know this trick, and some hotels have caught on to it. BS date. That's smart. You know what? I believe I'm going to start doing that. I like that. I do know this trick, and some hotels have caught on to it. If you have a 24-hour cancellation policy where you're going to get charged and you have to cancel last minute, or maybe it's a 2 weeks cancellation policy, and you have to cancel day up. If you will change your date instead of canceling for a 3 or 4 weeks out, 2 months out, I can't come today, so I'm going to come next month, and then wait a week and then cancel. You fall into the new reservation. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to pay anything. Now, some hotels have caught on to that, but that's an old trick that a lot of people used to do. Instead of canceling your hotel, if you're beyond your cancellation date, change your date, then call back a week later and cancel it.
There you go.
Dave, I know you were wanting to address Elliot's comments. He had asked a couple times as far as Kyle, you just explained what you did, but he said, Dave, if you would, ask the panel who donated their money to the Pirate Club and so forth from their military.
Well, my bowl tickets wasn't
I'll go ahead and say for myself, Elliot, my dad ordered the bowl tickets just since he has a much higher Pirate Club priority from being in the Pirate Club for 40 plus years, and I obviously wanted to sit with them. So I'm not sure what he did, but Matt and Dave, what about you guys?
Well, I started a new job, so I couldn't leave. Obviously, Greenville, which is a good thing for me long term. It sucked, obviously. I wanted to go to the bowl so bad. I only waited 6-7 years to go to a bowl. But anyway,
my ticket.
I didn't buy the tickets, so no. That's what I was saying.
Now, what did you do?
I did not. I did not. I was really, I was very fired up, guys, after the game, as you know. I've since calmed down. I've since calmed down a little bit. I still, there's some things that I wanted to see that didn't have. I would have preferred a more forceful response from our administration. I wanted to see Boston College called out. There were a lot of things I just didn't. Again, it's nothing personal. It's just my style. I didn't really love the way it was handled personally. So no, I opted to not go down that road.
I didn't have really the option. I guess I could make a personal donation. I didn't buy my tickets from the Pirate Club. I bought my tickets through the Military Bowl because my Pirate priority points wouldn't allow me to get the tickets I wanted. So I wasn't going to BS with that because they're using an antiquated system. I just bought it through the Military Bowl. So yeah, I got my money back, and I'm not going to give it to the Pirate Club because I'm not happy with the way things are handled. I obviously I don't want to punish the school. They lost money on this, but follow me from where you need to start a TikTok there, Pays. B Pays is ways to get out of having to pay money for crap. But maybe we'll have a segment. We can have Pays come on for a segment. This is Pays' way to this is Pays' slick trick of the week or some crap like that.
He's helping out Pirates.
Yeah, I'm not. Look, I hope everybody donates their money to the Pirate Club. I was kind of like Matt. I'm aggravated. I would have just liked to seen us handle things differently, even if the result would have been the same. I would have liked to seen us handle things differently afterwards. And I think Matt's attitude is kind of like mine and yours in this case, Dave, where you'd like to see a little bit more anger and venom coming out of the university.
Here's the thing, guys. I will say this. Gilbert was more careful because he's friends with the athletic director, Pat, whatever his name is, from Temple. He actually was AD at Temple before Boston College. And I thought that was, in most cases, I would be okay with that because, they're friends and maybe they can work out some deals, future games. How about a home and home, anything like that. But in this particular case, even if that's your friend, you're hired by East Carolina University. That's your job, is to take care of the university. And I just felt like that he was playing it safe. He said that on another show, he said that it was reckless, talking about not going to, another bowl. Let me tell you something. The Sun Bowl, if we'd have played the Sun Bowl, that's one of the biggest bowls that we could ever play in. And maybe
outside of the Power Five, it's pretty up there. It's been around for a long time. Yeah. Outside of the Power Five, I'm sorry. Outside of the Lord have mercy. Outside of the New Year's Six, outside of a New Year's Day bowl, the Sun Bowl is an historic bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I really believe that we could have made it happen. If it was 24, 48 hours notice before that bowl, then you say, logistically, guys, there's no way in the world we can make it happen. But we are literally we are now 2022. Yeah. We have people on the staff, guys. That's all they do is book hotel rooms. They book flights.
The hotel was already booked. Miami had hotel rooms. Sun Bowl, would have taken care of that. To me, again, I at least have the conversation with the Washington State AD. Can you help us out?
The Washington AD.
Exactly. The Washington State AD called John Gilbert. And I don't know, I wasn't on the phone, but I would have said, can you handle, can you get us there? Can you arrange the flights? You don't know who that yet. I don't know who Washington State alum are. They may have been able to charter us some planes with no problem. I don't know.
We have Pirates that have.
What I do know.
We have Pirates that have no jets. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
This is what I do know. Central Michigan beat Washington State on CBS Saturday or Friday. Correct. On New Year's Eve. Central Michigan, the chips. Washington State came out flattered and whatever term you like to use, and Michigan State held on and won. First in flight, indeed. Indeed. So, it would have been a hell of a moment. Imagine that. Imagine that turn of events had that been East Carolina instead of Central Michigan. Yeah, I know Tucson, Arizona, where Central Michigan was for their bowl game, and when it got canceled, it was a lot closer to El Paso. But I wonder if we were in the Arizona Bowl, if we would have went to the Sun Bowl. I really do. I've had this conversation with Bubba, and again, this is not a personal axe to grind with Gilbert. It's just his leadership style. Yes. I wonder. I was thinking about this way back in '99 when Hurricane Floyd came through, and we were down in South Carolina, then played Miami and Raleigh. I wonder if the current administration would move that game to Raleigh, or if just logistically it would have been a nightmare and it wouldn't be the right thing to do for the student athletes. I bet you we wouldn't have played Miami and Raleigh if that were to happen today. So I just I think the leadership, John Gilbert needs to realize there's a certain, and some Pirates are okay with it. Some Pirates are we're just going to go with the flow. But I think most of us, we're fighters. We don't, we keep fighting. We scratch and claw. And what I always ask myself, would Terry Holland have handled it that way? And if the answer is no, then it won't handle it the right way. Would Terry Holland have handled things exactly like John Gilbert did? And I think we can unequivocally, the result might have been the same, but would he have handled it the same? And I think we can unequivocally say no. John Gilbert Terry Holland would not have handled it the same way John Gilbert did. Then to me, it wasn't handled the right way because I've seen how this athletic department is supposed to be ran. And to me, it was under Terry Holland. That's just my opinion. And again, I don't hate John Gilbert. I hated Jeff Comfort. Well, let's be clear. I'm sure people at the athletic department are probably, if they've seen any of this content, particularly the episode back on the 26th, they may be angry at some of us. But I'm going to be clear. I don't hate John Gilbert. I hate Jeff Comfort. And if I hated John Gilbert, I'd say I hate him, and I'd say all kinds of other crap because I did about Jeff Comfort. I don't hate John Gilbert. I just don't agree with his leadership style. And I think he needs to realize where he is and who we are. And I think he gets it, but he doesn't get it.
Yeah, and for me, it just goes back to transparency. I almost feel like we have a responsibility to call out Boston College in this case because we're trying to prevent this from happening in the future, right? And if you don't call them out, it doesn't draw any national attention to it. They just walk away with basically no responsibility here. So I actually kind of liked it. NC State, I know Dave Doran was pretty vocal. I thought that was great. Hey, let's call out Boston College, put them on the national stage, make people understand what happened here, have transparency. And then hopefully in the future, you start to prevent these things from happening. But it's just, we were just a little too laid back about it for my liking.
Very casual.
I heard a guy. Go ahead, Dave.
I was just quickly going to say very casual about it. It's like I know that they do. Let me just be careful here. I know they do care about the university. I'm not going to say they don't care, but it came across as very casual, like, oh, we're not going to bowl game. And Matt, you and Bubba have played Division I football, and it's frustrating to me when being a football player, it's got to be. Can you imagine? And I know you had the 8-3 year in '96.
As a fan. Oof.
But how in the world can you say it's okay? Think about those seniors. Think about the seniors. I'm sorry. I'm still angry.
None of them opted out.
How about the very fact that those seniors were under Montgomery? Bruce Bivens. Think about his career where he took butt kicking after butt kicking after butt kicking. He had those miserable games. They finally get a winning season. They're going to a bowl. And what you say to them, oh, it's not a big deal, guys. We're just not going. That's a problem. That's a real problem for me. And guys, we need to change the name of our mascot because we are supposed to be the Pirates, and pirates are not normal people. They're not nice people. Does anybody know what a pirate really is today? Like, I mean, that's the thing I'm frustrated about is that we're pirates, and I'm sorry, but nicey nice is not going to win games.
Well, to me, Dave, I'm reminded there's a guy, and I can't think of his name. He's a business guy, and he's a little much, older guy, and he does these videos. And he did this, he said he has this quiz he gives people. And one of the questions on it, and the most popular answer given, the question is, what would you do if somebody spit in your mama's face? And the most popular answer given of the multiple choices he gives is I would try to figure out what was wrong with the person that spit in their face, why they did it.
Wow.
Is there a right answer as to why somebody spit in your mama's face? No, you go punch them in the damn mouth. You go put somebody spits in my mama's face, I'm gonna punch them in the damn mouth. I don't care why they spit in my mama's face. I'm gonna go kick the shit out of them. And that's the attitude you got to have at East Carolina. You don't wait around for 1990. Well, this is why Boston College pulled out and this and that. No, you pissed on us. You cost us money. You cost us bowl game money. You cost our fans money. So piss on you. I don't give a crap about your situation. What you just did was screwed our situation up. So to hell with you, Boston College. And that's the kind of attitude we got to have. But we should sue Boston College for the money that we just lost in that bowl game. We should sue them. And that's the kind of attitude you got to have. It don't matter why somebody spit in your mama's face. They spit in your mama's face. Go knock them out. And that's what I want from our leadership. I want the only objective our leadership should have is what's best for the Pirates, what's best for the players, student athletes, and what's best for the fan base. And not worried about, because what are we going to get out of it? Are they going to give us a home and home? Do you want a home and home with Boston College? Do you trust them to pay good on it? If we're the first end of that home and home and we go beat them up there, I don't trust them to pay it back and come to Greenville. So, I mean, what are you doing at this point except worrying about your own career? I wonder with John Gilbert's reaction, and again, I don't hate John Gilbert. I want to make that clear. I wonder with John Gilbert being so nice if it was more him worried about East Carolina and the relationship with Boston College and, what may happen in the future, or if he's worried about his own career and down the road and relationships and, hey, you never know who I'm going to be working with in the future or where I may want to go. And, I don't know. It's just – and I know we're coming down hard on Gilbert, and I'm not saying we should have accepted the Sun Bowl invitation straight out. I would have just liked to have seen it explored.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with Kyle. And, from the players' perspective, I find it hard to believe that a lot of the players were ready to just pack it in and go home and call it a day. I just don't buy that. Personally, like, even if let's just say, right, we were invited to the Sun Bowl, even if we show up on Thursday, the day before the game, and had prepped for Washington State for 24 hours, who really gives a damn? At that point, I'm willing to just show up and play a game. I don't care who it is. I don't care what scheme they run. I don't really care how much preparation time. This is the end of the season. Our team has pretty much seen a variety of schemes. There's not much you're going to throw at them in late December that they haven't seen before. So, from a player's perspective, I'm thinking, hey, let's show up. Even if it's less than 24 hours notice, we show up in El Paso, we play a game, and that's it. And we go play football. And logistically, I still believe it could have been figured out. And maybe I'm way off base. I could be totally wrong about that. In my heart of hearts, I think we could have made that happen. And kudos to Central Michigan. I mean, because not only did they show up, they played a hell of a game. Yeah. Very impressed with that team and the way they were prepared. And they got it done.
Yeah, and Washington State, and look, and some of our fans are going to hear this, but it's true. Washington State's way across the other, they're on the other part of the country. And they were planning to play Miami, and they got Central Michigan, and they came out flat. Same thing would have been with us. They came out flat. We'd have won that bowl game.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure we would be Sun Bowl champions right now.
Think about exactly. Think about this, guys. Think about this. You do the right thing for your seniors, right? Think about that. You get the bowl win. You do right for your fan base. Can you imagine that we're Sun Bowl champions after the hell that the fan base has gone through because of bad leadership in the past? That was not Gilbert's fault, not Ryan Robinson's fault. They inherited a big mess, right? So we're not talking about the stuff that happened before them, but they've been there for 3 years now. And the one thing I will say to them is what should have been said is we're going to explore every opportunity. We understand what it means, Pirate Nation. You've been waiting for 6 years, and we're Pirates, and we're going to fight our way. Say that. Say at least that. Even if you're lying, say it, because it sounds a lot better than no, we're not going to play anybody, like we're just giving up. And
even if you just said this, the Sun Bowl is not realistic, guys. But here's the thing: if a bowl game comes up in Florida, if a bowl game comes up on the East Coast, Music City Bowl, Capital One Bowl, whatever the hell the Tangerine Bowl is called now. I don't know. It was Camping World Bowl. I don't know what it's called now. The one in Orlando.
Citrus Bowl?
No, not the Citrus. That's Capital One Bowl. It used to be the Tangerine Bowl. Somebody can help me out on what it's called now. Champ Sports Bowl. It's changed name a million times. Doesn't matter. If a game like that comes open, we're going to explore it. We're not shutting down football just yet, but the Sun Bowl is just too hard logistically. Even if they'd have said that, I'd have been aggravated, but I would have accepted it. Just shutting things down. Let's go home. Call it a day. Just not the way, just not the way I wanted things done, or would like to see things done, or I think most Pirates would like to see things done. And I don't know. We can move on from this. We can move on, and if you guys want to talk about more COVID and the basketball program. And
along
now
the lines of opting out, before we move on and talk some other topics, East Carolina football, as well as like you just mentioned, basketball. A quick update there. Matt Corral, Ole Miss quarterback, very talented. Projected to go very high in the draft. I love what he did. Playing in the Sugar Bowl, even though he went down with an injury. Fortunately, news came out today that it was just kind of a minor ankle sprain, so that's awesome news. But regardless, Matt Corral, in my opinion, did what he should have done in playing in that bowl game, and understandably, it was inevitable as soon as he got injured that it was going to be all over social media with people saying this is why you opt out. I love Danny Cannell, the former Florida State quarterback. He said some thoughts on opt-outs. It's pretty simple. Some guys make a team decision. Some guys make a me decision. People are just more comfortable with me decisions than ever before. And then he also, or he didn't, but an Iowa fan, Andy Day, chimed in and said Tyler Linderbaum, who's the center for Iowa, that he got injured in the fourth quarter of that game against Kentucky and still came back in.
Yeah, and that's awesome, and I applaud those guys for going through with everything and playing in those bowl games, and I'm glad to hear that Corral only a minor injury and it won't affect his NFL career.
Man, thank God. I mean, thank God it was a minor injury, because that would have really set this thing down a path that I don't know if college football would recover from. And Corral, he is a hell of a player. He was literally, I don't know if you guys saw the first quarter of that game when he was in. He was trying to run over linebackers. Not only was he playing hard. He was trying to truck linebackers when he scrambled. So I give him a lot of credit. He is a great, great football player.
And like I just put up there for our viewers, Clemson is, obviously Dabo's been there a decade plus now, so much success. And Clemson this year, not up to their standards, playing in a college or not playing in a college football playoff, playing in the Cheez-It Bowl at 9-3 and now 10-3. The Tigers did not have any opt-outs.
Where's the Cheez-It Bowl located?
The Cheez-It Bowl's in Orlando.
All right, that's the bowl I was just trying to think of and kept saying what used to be the Tangerine Bowl. It used to be the Tangerine Bowl. It used to be the Tangerine Bowl. The Cheez-It Bowl.
It's old Citrus Bowl Stadium.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the Tangerine Bowl, because what used to be the Citrus Bowl is Capital One Bowl. Okay, so and then I just saw Mike Leach's comments that he thinks it's the most bizarre thing in the world. These players opting out, that they owe it to their teams, coaches, teams, coaches, and fans to play in these bowl games. And I agree with Leach. It's a very bizarre thing. I understand it from a financial standpoint. You're worried about your future, but with that being said, well, why didn't you opt out the last week of the regular season? Why didn't you opt out when you realized, I'm going to the NFL? I'm going to opt out now. I don't know why all of a sudden this one game you got to opt out of it. To me, it's a little silly.
Hey, Matt, I want to ask you and Bubba a quick question. I know you have a take, but I have a quick question for a former player. Why not, Kyle, you gave me an idea. Why not take with the NIL money there that we're talking about? Maybe you could have something in there that would tie in NIL money, meaning the individual deals, not like deals to go to the bowl games. But when it comes to opting out, I mean, in other words, if you have a big contract with such and such a thing, say, hey, you lose that money from Dr. Pepper or you lose that money from whomever. I don't know. I'm just thinking here, like at the line of scrimmage here, an audible. But I just really feel like there's, to me personally.
Well, right now, Dave, the way the NILs work, they can't be tied to anything you do on the football field. So that's the problem with that. It's got to be for work you're doing.
Work.
So,
or put a contract on it. If you opt out, make them sign a contract when they have each year. I know that scholarships are year to year.
NCAA would have to change the rules to be able to do that. But that'd be great with me. I'm good with it if the NCAA will change the language for that to be allowed.
Hey, the very fact that you want to be an employee, right? You want to be an employee.
I agree with you. Yeah.
And you're not living up to me. You're not living up to your job description. That's what
I agree with you 100%. I agree with
Right.
you 100%.
I think that's a good point. And just jumping back to Mike Leach really quick, guys. I mean, Mike Leach needs to be a little careful with this, in my opinion. I might surprise you guys with this take a little bit because, I don't love the opt-outs. I get it in some situations, but I hope Mike Leach has the same passion for calling out coaches when they jump ship, which is constantly every 2 seconds in college football. And not just head coaches, but position coaches who, all right, I might get an extra 200 grand to go to some ACC school or an SEC school. I hope Coach Leach has the same passion with calling them out because, oftentimes coaches get away with this, but they really, they say they deserve to be called out too, because sometimes the lack of loyalty I find really disturbing in college football, and the coaches are just as responsible as the players. So, I know the coaches talk about, team and loyalty and, being a model citizen for whatever school you go to and this and that, but they don't always back that up. And there are some great coaches in college football, some very loyal guys. But then on the other hand, there's a lot of guys just always looking for the next biggest paycheck.
Bobby Petrino.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the ultimate example. Bob Petrino's just a scumbag. But one thing that we were talking about opt-outs, but I was thinking about with the transfer portal, I would love to see it go back to where you have to sit out a year to transfer, with the caveat that if your head coach leaves or gets fired, then you don't have to sit out a year. So in other words, if you get in that transfer portal, but you got to sit out a year like you used to. But if your head coach leaves East Carolina to take the head coaching job at Notre Dame, you can transfer at will. If your head coach gets fired, you can transfer at will. I'd really like to see that adjustment made to the, and I think that would be fair, and it would put things more like it was before this never-ending portal.
And Bubba, I know you wanted to talk about the BYU game, right? And we also have a Charlotte game to talk about.
Yeah, that's what. Obviously, we knew BYU's on the schedule for next year. A tremendous home schedule that includes, NC State as one of the 3 non-conference games at home. But the Pirates will also be going to Provo, and we found out that is on October 29th. There have been 2 or 3 dates tossed out there. But there you see Lavelle Edwards Stadium. My parents were able to go out there in 2015 when the Pirates lost a heartbreaking shootout to the Cougs. But what a picture-perfect setting. Yesterday I thought about, attending this game because of the picture-perfect setting with the mountains there at the Rose Bowl. And that was a tremendous game between Ohio State and Utah. What a shootout that was. And Ohio State putting up nearly 700 yards of offense and Stroud throwing for close to 600 yards.
No question.
Yeah, it was a great game. Unfortunately, it came up short in overtime, but I look forward to playing BYU again. You got a top 15 team there, at least prior to their bowl game, and it's a great matchup. And when's the return game going to be? Are we going to get the return game? Supposed to be in 24, rumored to be moved now, which means we're going to need 2 home games for 24, or is it 25? It's one or the other. We're going to need 2 home games. I think it's 25 actually.
Yeah,
I have the schedule.
Yeah, go ahead, guys. I was just going to say that as I'm looking it up right now with each future schedules, I just there again, that's something that really bothers me. Is future schedules, and I'm just not I'll just be straight with you guys. I am not a FCS guy, scheduling FCS opponents. I'm from the 80s. We're going after the best. Yes, it was a different era. I understand why we did it. But now it's like that's such a crutch for our administration. It's so easy for them to call Podunk State or whoever.
Well, I think pretty much everybody does it, Dave. I think 1 a year is okay. I think when you're getting into 2 a year, and we had this conversation earlier privately, me, you, and Bubba. But I know what happened in 2019 wasn't supposed to happen. I agree with that in this case. 2 FCS teams it will be unacceptable. and it's either 25 or 24. I have to look at the damn future schedules again. Charlotte's not. It's going to be a conference game, so we lose Charlotte, and now we're going to lose. Now we're going to lose BYU. So we're going to need 2 games, and I believe they're both home games. And so one of those will be an FCS, and that's fine. But you can't have 2 FCS. So he's going to have to do a home and home with somebody. And even if you can't get the best home and home, even if you can't get a Power 5, I'd call Coastal Carolina. Even if they don't have an opening, I bet you they'll move something. I'm sure Coastal would love the opportunity for home and home with East Carolina. And our fans are interested in that game because they've been red hot here lately. James Madison's moving up to FBS, so they're going to need some FBS opponents non-conference. Jacksonville State's moving up to FBS, so they're going to need some non-conference games from the FBS level. So if you can't get a good home and home with a Power 5, I'd call Coastal. I'd call James Madison. I'd call Jacksonville State. I'd call Southern Miss. That's a team that I know East Carolina fans would love to do another home and home with. There's several teams that I'd give a call to, and besides the obvious ones, you'd love a Power 5 opponent home and home, but you might not be able to get that. But you got to have an FBS opponent, and you can't do 2 FCSs in 1 year. So John Gilbert, I don't know, we hadn't had a lot of schedule openings, but he signed a long-term deal with ODU. Besides that, I don't know what his scheduling philosophy is in terms of scheduling FBS opponents because he hasn't done it. I'd like to see what kind of FBS home and home he could put together. He did the bye game at Michigan. I don't want to do a bunch of bye games. I think that's it's not 1988. We're in the American Conference, so you go put a bunch of bye games up there. That looks rather small time, like we're Louisiana Monroe or something. So let's go get a home and home with somebody, and
we need somebody to. We need Vince McMahon to write a $30 million check for Telming Tower. If that's the case, there's for me personally, I don't want to buy a game, but at the same time, I'm sick and tired of hearing about the debt we have on Telming Tower. And speaking of transparency, we need some real financials to see how much we really owe. Come up with a master plan. Say, look, guys.
Well, you had a bunch of people pledge money. What happened to those assholes? Where's the money you pledged? Did you take your money with you did you take your money with you when your homie Jeff Comfort got fired? I mean, if you pledge money, pay it up. So, I don't know. We have debt. The debt's going to be there. It is what it is. I don't know what you do about that.
Matt, who would you like to see?
Let's just don't pay the bills and see if they come repossess the tower.
Matt, who would you like to see as far as the scheduling goes?
So I know a lot of people like the regional opponents. I would love to see somebody completely different and unique that we've never played before. I would personally love to see and this is a wish list, like in Arizona or in Arizona State, a home and home. And this is obviously, a wish list, but somebody very unique that we've never played before. I also think there's an opportunity with some schools on East Coast, like Rutgers. I think that makes sense logistically. Right, our favorite word of the month, logistically. I think that's a team that's on the East Coast that we've never played before. That you might be able to set something up with. I think a lot of our fans would make that trip to New Jersey, and we do have a pretty big fan base in that area. So that's something I'd like to see too. But somebody like an Arizona State, it's just somebody very different.
Yeah, I think you have to look, being realistic, of who would want to play us, and I think you need to look who recruits the Carolinas. I know at one point I kept throwing out Colorado State because Mike Bobo was their head coach, and they recruit South Carolina and Georgia a ton. So to me, Colorado State, when Mike Bobo was there, made a lot of sense because I thought they'd be interested in playing us because of recruiting the Carolinas and Georgia so much. But Bobo's not there now, so I don't think Colorado State makes as much sense. I don't think they'd be as interested, is what I'm trying to say. So look at who recruits this area. Air Force, for example, always recruits the Carolinas. Bubba was recruited by Air Force. Maybe Air Force, if you want to play 2 triple options in a year, would be somebody you could look at for a home and home because they like to recruit the area. Well, that's a great idea, Elliot. I don't know, how we couldn't have thought of that. Let's play UNC. That solves the problem.
Pace says Penn State, Pitt, and Tennessee.
You're not going to get them home and home. You maybe Pitt. Penn State and Tennessee ain't coming here. Pitt might. But Pitt, I think Pitt recruits this area, but they come to North Carolina a lot already.
Yeah,
that would be great. I'd do a 2-for-1 with Tennessee if they're interested. You would think with Gilbert's ties, maybe he can make that happen. That's a good question for John. Maybe we should talk to him and ask because he had a conversation with Tennessee about a 2-for-1.
I thought he was saying one home, one away, and one neutral, like playing.
That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You got to be realistic. I mean, I'd like a home and home with Notre Dame. Let's go home and home with Notre Dame. Well, we settled it. We'll do a home and home with Notre Dame.
He said, Kyle, when we play USC,
Elliot, brother, I'm not trying to be an ass. I know that, my friend. We'd have UNC on the schedule every year if we could. Bring in Alabama. That's a great idea, Brandon. Let's do a home and home with Alabama. That's a great idea.
What about
let's do a home? Guys, let's talk about realistic opponents. Okay, UNC doesn't want to play us. Okay, when you lose 3 times in a row, they don't want to play us. I think we're going to have to go to legislation to play UNC. We ain't never playing Alabama home and home. I'm sure Alabama would give us a bye game if you want to go get your asses kicked in Tuscaloosa, but they're not going to come here. Tennessee is not going to do a 3-game deal with a neutral site. It's not going to happen. Now, we might be able to do a 2-for-1 with Tennessee, but, I don't know. Gilbert needs to try to make that happen.
Would you do a 2-for-1?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd do a 2-for-1 with Tennessee. Yeah, absolutely.
We would sell a lot of tickets for that. We'd sell a lot of tickets for that game.
Yeah, I think with SEC schools, 2-for-1s is completely acceptable. We did it with South Carolina, for God's sake. That's what this basically ended up. When you look at how many times we went to Columbia and how many times South Carolina came here, it was basically a 2-for-1. Yeah. With one being in Charlotte. We went to Columbia 4 times. So I'd have no problem doing a 2-for-1 with Tennessee. I would applaud it, as a matter of fact.
And Brandon does. Let me hold on one second. Let me bring this up. Stop bringing these weak teams. We need big. The problem, Brandon, is not East Carolina. These teams are not coming to us, my friend. I love you to death. I appreciate your passion. It's not that we're scared to schedule Alabama or bring them in. They won't come to Greenville. It has nothing to do with us. So I'm harsh on the scheduling, but you can't blame that.
Be realistic.
Yeah, you can't. I don't.
Pittsburgh pays. Was it Pays that mentioned Pittsburgh? Pitt's a realistic opponent. That is a home and home that I think at one point they'd be very interested in. Meaning Pitt. They come to North Carolina a lot now already because of being in the ACC. But yeah, Pitt is somebody you need to have a conversation with. For sure.
Syracuse. We used to play
Syracuse. Yes, Syracuse. They fall into the same category as Pitt. They come to North Carolina a lot now already, but it's still somebody you should have a conversation with. Matt suggested Rutgers. Rutgers is in the Big Ten. They don't come to this area much anymore, but they still recruit this area. So to me, Rutgers makes a lot of sense to have a conversation with. Maryland is somebody we should have a conversation with.
Maryland is a great idea. That DC area, we have a lot of fans there. We talk about recruiting. There's a lot of Matt, being up north in that area, a lot of great players in the DC area, the DMV.
No doubt.
Axel says, guys, Central Michigan, Minnesota, Kentucky, North Dakota, state trying to think here.
North Dakota is interesting, actually, because that is a tremendous FCS opponent, but it's still an FCS opponent. North Dakota will knock your damn block off, and then you've lost to an FCS team.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Yeah. We got a home and home with Boise actually down the road, Brandon. That's actually already signed. We already have a home and home with Boise, so that's coming down the road, Brandon. Air Force is somebody I would
conversation. And Kyle, this goes back to our conversation about the bowl game, how we could have tried to potentially leverage something out of it. It's so hard to get people to come to Greenville. Like to your point earlier, both of you guys made the point. With Washington State and Boston College, we could have tried to leverage something more out of it. So you got to try to take advantage of those opportunities when they present themselves.
Yeah, Pace.
President State's a good opponent. I just don't know how how much sense that makes to travel to California for them to travel here. They're certainly a good opponent. They don't give you that Power 5 brand like a Washington State was, the point that Matt was just making, trying to leverage the bowl game to get a home and home down the road. I'd be excited as crap to play Fresno State.
Oh, yeah.
I think all of us would.
Yeah.
But I don't know your average East Carolina fan, not people that watch the show, not people that are on Hoist the Colors, but your average college football fan, I don't know how excited they're going to be about Fresno State, because while if you're a diehard, you obviously know what Fresno State is. They back when we were rolling, people used to refer, in the early 2000s, I remember Fresno State being referred to as the East Carolina or Southern Miss of the West Coast. Back when Pat Hill first had Fresno going. So I'd love a home and home with Fresno State. I don't know how many other people would. That's an interesting question.
But but they're still an FBS opponent.
Yeah, and they're great. They're a great opponent.
And Matt, you had
the reason I bring up Air Force is because Air Force recruits the Carolinas, and you got Air Force bases in this area with Seymour Johnson. I think Air Force would probably draw pretty well.
Make that military.
I don't know how excited Coach would be about playing two wishball teams. So.
Yeah, I say we avoid that one. but even beyond what's in it from a recruiting perspective for us, I like the opportunity to go to different parts of the country. Like Fresno State, I would be all for that. Not that we can recruit that area, but it gives us a chance to elevate our program and create from like a branding perspective. Because, and I have this conversation a lot of times, I live obviously very far from Greenville. We need to brand our program and make it more of a national or a East Coast type program. So those things help out.
What about
somebody mentioned Buffalo? Somebody mentioned Buffalo, talking about home and homes with East Coast teams. I don't know how much appeal Buffalo would have. But Buffalo's a quality opponent in recent years. They've done really well in the MAC.
Hey guys, Robert says a 2-1-1 neutral in Charlotte with Georgia.
It's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. It's just not. Georgia's not leaving the state of Georgia for a non-conference game unless it's against somebody like Ohio State. I mean,
it would be more somebody like Vanderbilt or Mississippi State.
Hey,
Georgia Tech,
lower level SEC team. I think we can get in here possibly.
Guys,
Georgia Tech.
We could, exactly. We could play a lot of schools that are Power 5 teams that Kyle talks a lot about. That in Illinois, for example, in the Big Ten, that we would have when that's a game that we would have a realistic chance of winning the game. Some payback for not to bring up a sore subject, Matt, but that Liberty Bowl, but payback to them. But that's the thing. Illinois, you look at, like you guys were saying with you think about Vanderbilt, their program is god awful, and the SEC. But we would definitely, Nashville is a great city to travel. I love that. It's one of my favorite cities in America. Love country music. I just love that whole scene, the whole vibe there.
And something else I would recommend too is UCF is leaving the American. They're going to be a Big 12 school.
Yes.
We have a long history with UCF. I would be talking to UCF about scheduling a long-term home and home, or if they didn't want to do a long-term, just do one home and home with them. I'd be talking to UCF right now about continuing that series. Houston, maybe. I don't know how much interest Houston's going to have, whereas UCF makes a lot more sense travel-wise. They're going to be making plenty of trips now out west. They're going to want some more regional opponents, and as the broad scheme of things, we're pretty regional for UCF versus all the Texas schools. What did Page put up there?
Pat White, huh?
Pat White.
Wow.
Campbell just hired Pat White. He'll be returned to Greenville for the first time since 2008.
Oh, well, we kicked his ass the last time he came to Greenville. We'll do it again.
Come get your beat down, Pat White, again.
Robert says, let's go to LSU one and done.
If you're going to take a money game, LSU would be an interesting one.
How about the University of Washington game, as Jason talks about?
Yeah, in the early 90s. Yeah, we got our asses kicked.
Duke won't play us.
That's interesting. Duke getting back on the schedule would be something that would make a lot of sense. I'm sure those conversations, if they haven't been had, they should. They got a new AD. Duke back on the schedule is something that needs to happen at some point. That's a good one, Brandon.
And you know, a lot of people kind of balk at these one and dones. I like them every few years. You know, I love
Every
the fact that
few
we're
years.
at Michigan. You know, we're at Michigan, right? In a few years, that's going to be awesome. I'm going to that game. I'll tell you guys right now.
Let's do it.
If anybody wants to go.
If you want to do one every 5 years, that's fine. The last time we did one was 2015. This is so at this rate, it's once every 10 years. I'm okay with doing it once every 5 years.
I would even prefer like even once every 2 or 3 years, and I'll tell you why. Just from a perspective of that Florida game, we got great exposure that night. We should have won it. Well, we talk about sore subjects, went down to the last few plays, but great exposure again from a branding perspective, from a recruiting perspective. I would love to see us go to a place like Penn State. I mean, it's a top venue in the country. So maybe not every 2 years, but at least every 3 years. I'd be okay with that.
Here's why you do it. Here's exactly why you do it. Because if you have look at where we are, our program is climbing. If we were in the Montgomery area, we're getting our butts kicked every week. You don't want to have that because it'll be really difficult to get a 6 win. But where our program is heading, I really feel like that down the line, that our resume is going to be such that how about if we do the one time that we upset a Penn State or Michigan and you have a miracle season, you can circle that non-conference.
You guys, you got to be real careful. And the reason I say it, do it once every 5 years. You think it's tough to get home games now? You start doing this crap once every 2 or 3 years, ain't nobody in a Power 5 conference going to come here. You can hang it up. NC State, UNC, nobody in a Power 5 conference is going to come here if they see you doing that crap every 2 years or so. If they see you, well, hell, Penn State, Pittsburgh, for example. Well, hell, Penn State just got a bye game with East Carolina. Why the hell should we give them a home and home? It's their own perception of themselves. And you start doing that too much, I'm telling you right now, you're going to have other teams that are going to go, well, we're in the same conference as them. We're in the same state as them. We're not going to give them a home and home. There are a few programs that are different animals. Michigan, I think LSU, Texas, Oklahoma. Those are different animals. But you can't just start doing it willy nilly, or you're gonna end up hurting yourself. You're gonna get nobody to give you a home and home outside of Old Dominion.
Well, hey, I'll tell you one thing right now. We've got to get away from. I'm not an FCS fan at all. I am not an FCS fan. I think the same point that you made, Kyle.
I agree with you.
The same.
I agree with Bob there.
The same thing that you talked about with the bye games is the same problem I have with FCS. We're trying to elevate our program, and we need to have.
But everybody does that, Dave. Everybody does that.
I don't care.
UNC plays FCS. NC State plays FCS.
So it's not. They say?
Do what now?
We should do what they say, or should we do what's best for our program? We want to be the best, right?
Well, what do you want to do? You want to play 2 bye games every year? I mean, you're not going to get anybody to come here.
No, I'm saying that's my point. I'm not saying to play a bye game every year. I just mentioned
you got to have 6 home games. You got to have 6 home games, and at least 6. Sometimes you need 7, and so that's going to require an FCS opponent most years. Now you should never play. Army has an opening. Well, there you go. But I'd love to play Army. I think Mikey Stadium and West Point's a beautiful place. And I think Army draws well in Greenville. Historically, we know they do. So do a home and home with Army. I don't know how excited Coach is going to be about playing 2 wishbone teams, but no problem doing a home and home with Army.
That's the only problem. That is a beautiful venue, fellas. Beautiful venue.
There, right?
We did, yeah, absolutely. Awesome place. So I agree with Pays on that one. That would be a good one.
UConn.
What? Navy is such a handful. My God. I just don't know if I want to see that option anymore than once a year. But in theory, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
makes you better if you see it twice. You're going to practice for it twice. UConn, Matt, your thoughts?
Hey, I'm absolutely fine with that. It's got to be,
close drive for you.
For me, it's perfect, but I have no problem with that. I know that they have
Northern Illinois
that might work out for us where they come to Greenville.
Teams, I have no problems with.
Yeah.
Northern Illinois, they're a good quality program. Got a lot of name recognition, and I think you could sell the fact that Jeff Comfer, even though they hate him too, you could pretend like that they love him, and then just have people come out.
We could have the Jeff.
We can have the Confer Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
We can play for a statue of Jeff Confer.
No, please don't. The loser has to take the statue, the trophy.
That's pretty good.
Well, as far as the MAC, that I've been saying for years, I think that from a recruiting perspective, I'd like to see us go head to head with the MAC in terms of getting offensive linemen. It's really tough for us to get offensive linemen here. We all know it's a huge challenge. And I've been saying this forever that I would like to see us go into MAC country more often and try to recruit those kids, even guys who are committed, right? You have guys committed to like Ball State, Miami, Ohio. They get good linemen at those schools. Try to poach them. So I wouldn't be opposed to doing that, going into, a Northern Illinois or some sort of series with like a Miami, Ohio, somebody along those lines.
Missouri would be somebody to have a conversation with, Pays. I don't know that I would do a 2-for-1 with Missouri. I don't know if they would do a home and home with us, but yeah, that's worth having a conversation with.
Now this year Missouri went to BC, I believe. I think I may be mistaken. I think here in recent years that Missouri may have gone to UConn. Do you recall that, man? I know Michigan went to UConn.
Missouri did a home and home with UMass, according to.
Okay, yeah,
Pays,
maybe it was UConn and UMass, but I recall that as well, Pays.
UTSA is going to be a member of the American Four-Bush. USC ain't coming here. UCLA ain't coming here. Texas Tech would be an interesting one to have a conversation with, along with Louisville. We have a terrible relationship traditionally with Louisville, though. Louisville makes a lot of sense, but we have a terrible relationship with them traditionally.
And Kentucky would be another team that would be cool to play.
Another terrible relationship with them traditionally. They pulled out of a home game back in '98. But there's a lot of schools that, Power Five is getting harder and harder. But you got to have this conversations. You got to try to get them in here.
I think some would. I don't think most wouldn't, but I think some would. And then
some have been brought up. Some have been brought up that I think would. I think there's definitely maybe Indiana. It's another one you should talk to. Purdue.
Hey,
another one you should talk to.
Matt, I had a question for you. What about you always hear about the one conference that you always hear about as far as the bias? You always hear about the Pac-12. They always want to be in the Eastern time zone because they have those late games and they want to have why not have maybe a school or two from the Pac-12 that we could look at? Utah, I doubt Oregon would. USC,
Oregon State.
Yeah, Oregon State.
I would love it, man. I would love it. It's just different. It's fresh.
Yeah.
It's something exciting for the fan base when you play a new team that you've never played before. So I would love to see it.
Yeah. I'll tell you somebody that historically has been willing to go to Group of Five schools, and they got a lot of money. Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State has been willing to do that. Utah State, that's another good. That falls into that Fresno State category. It's a great opponent. I just don't know how many of our fans really care about playing Utah State. I'd be excited for it.
I'd be excited.
It's a good opponent for sure.
To your point, Kyle, as far as Oklahoma State, I remember them going to Troy as well as South Alabama.
Yeah.
And didn't they do a home and home or 2-for-1 with Central Michigan also?
Seems like it.
We can. There's opportunities out there, fellas, and but that's that's the art of being an athletic director, is making deals, right? Just like we had a situation on the 26th. Whether or not the deal would have happened or not, we'll unfortunately never know. But it's the art of making a deal that's missing right now, and that's the one thing that Terry Holland. What would Terry do? Terry can make a deal better than anybody, brother. He can make a deal. I'm not saying he was perfect. We're not putting him up on the pedestal way up there, but he's probably the best AD.
You know what he told Dave Hart when Dave Hart called him about asking East Carolina for a buy game and offered him $1 million. You know what he told Dave Hart when he was at Tennessee? Do you? Anybody?
No, I don't.
Nope.
Bubba, you remember this? Dave Hart called Terry Holland and offered him a buy game for $1 million to come to Tennessee, and Terry's response we'll give you $2 million to come here.
Yes. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because he said if it would have happened, he said would have figured where to come up with the money from.
Exactly. You figure it out. And that's, to me, what we need. And you know, I'm not saying get rid of John. John, just go take some plays from the Terry Holland playbook. And I know you got to be your own man. You got to be who you are. But to me, Terry Holland did things the right way here. And some people
we thought Oklahoma. Remember, for a time, it seemed like Oklahoma may come to Greenville.
It was real close to happening. They did. Yes, they did. Oklahoma State sure did, James. They did. I forgot about that.
Illinois.
Yeah, they did. That was a long time ago, but yes, they did. Illinois and Oklahoma State both did a home and home with Southern Miss.
San Diego State at home and home with Central Michigan.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So it's possible.
Yeah,
I don't know. And you put up on, if you have a board and you put all the teams you want, it's like asking a lady out. If you only ask one out, she's probably going to say no.
Yeah. I think San Diego State is another one like Fresno. I think San Diego State would probably be interested in doing a home and home with us. I don't know. Again, you know, I don't know what our fans' perception is of Mountain West schools. I look at Mountain West football with the American, and any of those Mountain West brands to me are good brands. And
Sunbelt, we've got Sunbelt, Mountain West. I mean, every conference.
Home and homes. Yeah, I think those will happen. Southern Miss, to me, if we just had James speak up, a good friend of the podcast, one of my personal best friends, is a Golden Eagle. And I think every East Carolina fan that grew up with the rivalry, Matt played in those games, I think they'd love to see a home and home with Southern Miss done again. And that's one we could easily get done. I think Southern Miss fans would love it and East Carolina fans would love it.
No question about it. A great football atmosphere there at the Rock in Hattiesburg. And then you have Greenville. It's a no-brainer. It's a win-win. No doubt about it. There's so many schools that we could spend hours. We don't have the time, fellas, but just the fact that, and we're not even in the athletic department. Look at the great suggestions we have, not being patronizing, but look at the guys that are, and ladies that are on the show that chime in every show we have.
How would you guys feel about a home and home with Middle?
I have no problem.
You get to travel out to Nashville. Would that be something everybody chime in, Middle Tennessee?
I have no problems with Middle Tennessee being Conference USA. I have no problems with them, and I think that with you talk about that, you were talking about Vanderbilt. It's another school there, and obviously inside of Nashville. I have no problems playing them. I know their program is down, but hey, it's an SEC school. We go there.
If you can get a home and home with Vandy, you take it. Yeah, who cares? But I'm glad they're down. Let's beat the crap out of them, and it's an SEC win.
No. I'm just saying this. What I'm saying is, it's a realistic chance to win the game, and we're not going there to get blown out 70-14 or something. Where we could actually win that game. In Nashville, recruiting.
We better be right now. I would expect to beat Vanderbilt.
No, I know. I'm just saying, but we're looking at schedules a few years from now. You don't know. It's not for next year, but I'm just saying. Look at teams that I think we need to look at Power 5 teams that right now may be down. Who knows? In a few years they may be up, but just the fact that Illinois, I mentioned, there's teams in the Big Ten. There's Rutgers, Maryland, teams that we would have a shot at.
So we want to
Purdue's of the world, teams like Purdue, teams that are middle to lower of the pack in their Power 5 conferences. I think are more willing to do it.
Yes,
maybe not right now, obviously, but traditionally, like an Iowa State, somebody along those lines.
There you go. Air Force needs a game in 24. No Middle Tennessee. Well, of course you'd rather try for Vandy. I agree, but just throw a Middle out there. Baylor did a home and home with that's more regional. Waco, Texas, and Ruston, Louisiana are very close to each other. Probably closer than even what you realize. So that's a very regional home and home.
Hey, really quick, just to jump. I got to just mention Baylor. I have to mention that defense last night was flying around. They were physical. They brought it to Ole Miss. I got to give them major. They played a hell of a game last night. Just since we mentioned Baylor, I just wanted to jump in there with that. That's an impressive program.
Hey,
would have loved to have seen how that game would have turned out had Matt Corral not gotten injured. That would have been, because it was still a tremendous game, but obviously that was a huge blow for the Rebs.
Yeah, James just made a good point that their current AD, who just made an interesting move to take them to the Sun Belt. Their current AD said TV money has made it much harder for Power 5 schools to do a home and home with Southern Miss, and I would imagine we're probably experiencing similar. Though I think we're in a better spot than Southern is at this point to get a home and home. Guys, we need to touch on basketball real fast before we get out of here. Bubba, take it.
Yeah, and Pirates have not played since December 21st when we took down Southern Miss, coincidentally. But we're scheduled to play on December 29th against Wichita State. Shockers flew to Greenville. That game was not able to happen. And then today's game, or yesterday's game, I should say, with South Florida was not able to happen as a result of the same COVID pause. Next scheduled game, Wednesday night against Tulane. Tulane's off to a 2-0 start with wins. Get this, guys, at home over Memphis. And Memphis bounced back, just throttling Wichita State yesterday. And then Tulane won yesterday up at the Shoemaker Center, or Fifth Third Arena, as they call it now, at the Shoemaker Center. They won 68-60 over the Bearcats. So Ron Hunter's got it going on down there with Tulane.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that we would know by tomorrow. I'm guessing. Do you think it'll be tomorrow we'll get word if we're playing the Wave?
Yeah, I tried to attempted to find out something today, but no word as of yet. But we'll certainly put it out there as soon as we find out. And after the Wednesday's game against Tulane, the next scheduled game is on Saturday at Temple.
And guys, certainly with that, we'll keep an eye on that. Something that happened last year. We had a great start, guys. Remember, 7-1, and then the program hit COVID. Same thing this year, 9-3. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. Hopefully, the same thing. We don't have a repeat of last year. We'll see how that plays out. And I know, Bubba, we've got a lot of great programming coming up over the next week. I guess I know we have
nothing. We're not going to have any shows.
No shows whatsoever. I know Corey Glore is coming on. That'll be coming
Hello,
up.
gentlemen.
Yeah, hello, gentlemen.
Guys, any word on who the hell's going to call our baseball games?
No, I was wondering. That was something I've been wanting to know, but have not heard anything on that. Been wanting to know the last few weeks after we had Coach Godwin on. We didn't have a lot of time that day, or I wish we had more time with Coach, and maybe at some point we can get more time with him. But is that something? Who would we contact about that? Would that be something Malcolm? I mean, that's media more than it is baseball. Who would we contact to see if there's? He's a sports information director for baseball. So
I'm sorry, guys, I stepped away for a moment. What's that, Kyle?
Who the hell's calling baseball?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have not heard that. I was thinking of that today when I was. Tomorrow we'll have Corey Glore, voice of the Green Wave, on to talk about that matchup Wednesday. If it happens, we'll go ahead and talk to Corey, talk about Tulane's hot start to conference play, and also talk a variety of topics as we always do when we have Corey on the show. And then on Thursday, we'll have former East Carolina defensive coordinator and former La Tech defensive coordinator David Blackwell, as well as Rini Ngolia from ESPN. We'll catch up with those two to talk about the national championship game between Bama and Georgia, and also, I'm sure, a variety of other college football topics.
No doubt. Let's see where Skip Holtz is going to land. Is he going to be an analyst?
Word had it that this may not end up happening, but word had it that maybe Skip wanted to step away for a while and kind of go a different route, like administration, rather than jumping right back into coaching.
Oh, I'll be an AD.
That's what he implied. Guys, we need to research this baseball thing. I don't know if we need to contact Malcolm. Someone we need to contact. Maybe the voice knows. I don't know. We need to find out who's calling baseball. To be sure,
Corey Glore.
Maybe it hasn't been decided yet.
I would say. I certainly would expect Malcolm's on top of things. He does an excellent job, and
yes,
yeah. But
I'll reach out to Malcolm to see if that has been decided by IMG in East Carolina.
We had that one guy on. Well, who was that one dude on that we suggested for the job? He called Team USA Baseball.
Oh, you're talking about Daryl Vaughn.
Is that his name?
Yeah,
I'd like to see. I think he would. I think
he's
he would be a
the
real
High Point Panthers, and he does an excellent job, and obviously has a familiarity, I'd guess, with Cliff Godwin.
Yeah, I'd like to see him get the job. Based on I'm sure whoever gets it will do a good job.
Well, I'll tell you
But based on people I know, I'd like to see him get the job. I'd love, I don't know how much longer Jeff's planning on doing things, meaning the voice. Are going back a few years, Campbell's current play-by-play football and basketball guy was our baseball voice several years back, and I love him. If he could he step in
Chris
and just
Haymeyer.
Haymeyer, could he come back and do baseball with the caveat of play-by-play and waiting to take over for the voice whenever he decides to step down? Because that's who, if I'm replacing Jeff Charles without doing a national search, I love Chris Haymeyer.
I'll tell you who I love. I'm a huge fan of Patrick Keenis. He obviously is AAA. He's the voice of the Bulls. He's filled in a lot on ESPN Plus, but I love Keenis. I think he does a great job. The guy, the guy.
You mean to come back to replace whenever the voice retires?
Yeah. I mean, he can call baseball. The guy announces for the Olympics, guys, and he's not far away from us. He announces.
Yeah, I wonder how much he's making as a AAA play-by-play guy. I wonder if he'd be, I don't know. I wonder if he's got goals of Major League. But I can tell you what, Haymeyer would come back in a minute.
He's great. Yeah, I like him too. He would definitely have a list.
But he's not coming back just for baseball. This is again, and I'm not trying to push Jeff Charles out the door. I'm just making an observation.
No doubt about it. James says he thinks I should call the games. No, James, that's not my forte. So see, he's got jokes. I appreciate you, James, but no, I appreciate that very much. But that's not what I'm more of like what we're doing now. That's my thing. It's not play-by-play or color would not be my analyst would not be my thing. But I do enjoy it. I could definitely do the producer, maybe help out the sideline reporter, something like that. But not play-by-play is very hard. For sure. It's not
I want to see you with a mic on the sideline in the middle of a rainstorm, Dave.
All right, let's bring it. Nobody's heard that. I tell you what, though, Marty Fuhrer, man, that guy knows the playbook better than the guy that made the playbook. He's the best.
Dave getting a pissed off Mike Houston.
I think of Marty, and I always think about back like in the '90s when his damn mic would never work right. It was like, we go to Marty on the side. Jeff, we got about what's up. All right, we'll have to come back to Marty in a little bit. He's having troubles with his microphone.
Meanwhile, Coach Logan, would be kind of like Nick Saban, very little patience going off the field.
Yeah,
no doubt. All right, guys, do you have anything before we go?
Happy New Year to everybody. Hope 2022 is good to everyone. And hey, look, Matt's back. He morphed into a person again. Hope everybody has a good 2022, and hopefully it begins better than it ends. That didn't make a lot of sense, but you know what I mean.
What about you, Bubba?
The same. Hope everyone's 2022 is off to an excellent start. Like I had up on the screen a moment ago, or, if you're an East Carolina fan, whether you're an alumni or not, if you're a Pirate fan, we need everybody we can get on the ship. And by on the ship, I mean joining the Pirate Club, 252-737-4540. And go ahead and you can join for less than $9 a month, and we desperately need Pirate Club members.
Yeah, Pays is going to come out of retirement. He says he did the Ann Donovan show in 94, 95. He said, "Let me know if I can come out of retirement." Pays, we love you, man. Yeah, and you don't be a stranger.
Pays wants to be the play-by-play voice, or
I guess, or do a studio show, or I don't know. I guess
I think Pays is going to call baseball.
That would be great. Hey, it would be fun. It would definitely be. I can promise you, it pays. It would definitely be entertaining for sure, and we might get more listeners that way because all that downtime, he would have a lot of great commentary, a lot of jokes, a lot of stories. I would listen.
Bubba, save that clip right there. Save that clip right there, and take it out of context and play it for Corey Glore that we might get more listeners that way with Pays and play it for Corey Glore when we have him on later this week.
Wow, that's not the way I meant it. Wow.
Hey, now Pays and Donovan was 6'8". Did she ever dunk on you?
No doubt. He can be the sideline guy. So anyway, guys, Happy New Year to everybody. Looking forward to it. We're getting ready to, we're guys 2 months away from 4 years of doing the show. Not any other podcast can say that. We are the original podcast of the Pirates. We have the voice of the Pirates for sure. And we appreciate that. We used to scrimmage the girls team. There you go. And you notice Kyle was not invited. So for a good reason, I guess. But
I was 14.
There you go. There you have it.
14 and 15.
94,
95.
No doubt. Anyway, before I get in trouble, guys, I want to wish you the best. You guys are awesome. Thanks to our great listeners, our great viewers. By the way, one more thing. I know Bubba will kill me if I don't mention. Thanks to our great sponsors. We had a lot of great sponsors this year back in 21, and we got more to come certainly in 22 as well. And by the way, I want to mention, too, that we're going to give tickets. We got a big show coming up, guys, January 15th. Slippery When Wet, the ultimate Bon Jovi tribute. And we want to remind people you can get your tickets. Just go to innovativeticketing.com. We're adding that to our show, if you will, to our company. And I know Matt Semenza, we're giving away Matt Semenza seats, 4 front row seats. We'll be giving that away on the show. And Semenza.
Yeah, that's in Williamston. That's in Williamston at the Bob Martin Ag Center, the Annex building there on the 15th of January. What time's the show?
It'll be 7:30, so it's gonna be a great show.
What time the door is gonna open, Dave?
About 5 o'clock. So we have a couple opening acts, and you'll get a chance to. We'll have some pirate beverages. You get food there. It's gonna be a great time, and maybe just maybe we'll see Matt Semenza come in. You never know. If there's a cheap flight, if anybody knows where. Hey, Pays, you know where we can get a cheap flight from? Like,
have you let Mike Houston know? Mike Houston's a huge Bon Jovi fan. Maybe we can get Pirate fans to come out if we can get Mike Houston on stage to introduce Slippery When Wet.
Hey, if he wants to come, he can definitely do that. Open invitation, Coach. Obviously, he has great taste in music, and
also a big Journey fan.
Yeah, and we have we'll be announcing some shows we have in Greenville. That's a nice little tease. We have 4 shows in Greenville at the State Theater in uptown Greenville, rather. We'll be announcing.
Dave is bringing Cody Jinks to the State Theater. I appreciate it, Dave. It's Cody Jinks and Whiskey Myers. It's going to be great.
I love them. I don't think I can afford them for sure. But anyway.
The Pirates Cove. Hey, it's the hip place. It's the cool place. It is the only place on social media where the cool kids hang out in Pirate Nation. Forget the other places. This is the place for you. It is the Pirates Cove. Go join it and let's talk pirate athletics. Skip the BS. Come to the best, baby. All right. And Rick Minner says that he knows Bon Jovi personally. Maybe we can get him on. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be great? Have John Bon Jovi. Yeah, we was right. Rick did say he knew John Bon Jovi. Maybe we can talk to Coach and see if he can make some phone calls and get Bon Jovi on. Hey, fun fact about Bon Jovi. My favorite artist of all time is a guy named Chris Ledoux. The most underrated country artist of all time, the Cowboys Cowboy. Him and Bon Jovi did a duet together called Bang a Drum. If you want to hear an interesting song, go check that out on YouTube. I did not know that, and I love both of them, so I will. And so anyway, make sure you go to innovativeticketing.com to get your tickets. Search for Slippery When Wet. It's in 2 weeks at Bob Martin. Love to have you there. And guys, thank you so much. We'll get out of here. We'll see you next time on the Sports Objective. Good night, everybody, and go Pirates.
Are you ready out there? Coming to the Bob Martin Egg Center in Williamston, January 15th at 7:30. Do you love Bon Jovi? Then you're going to love being there for Slippery When Wet, the ultimate Bon Jovi tribute band. This will be the biggest show in Eastern Carolina to start the new year.
Tickets are $25 in advance or $30 at the door. Get your tickets now for Slippery When Wet, the ultimate Bon Jovi tribute band in Williamston, January 15th at innovativeticketing.com. And enter Slippery When Wet in the search bar. This band was featured this season on the E! Network's Clash of the Cover Bands. Slippery When Wet, the ultimate Bon Jovi tribute band. Live at the Bob Martin Egg Center, January 15th in Williamston. Get your tickets now at innovativeticketing.com. Search Slippery When Wet.
Hey, this is Jason from Slippery When Wet. Wanted to let you know that January 15th, we're going to be at the Bob Martin Agricultural Center in Williamston, North Carolina. We booked the show during COVID and the shutdown or whatever, and it got rescheduled. And so we're happy to be finally coming back to see you guys in North Carolina. Tickets are available now.